Hey, this is Troy Erickson from copywriting.org, and today we're going to talk about something that's a little bit different than what we normally talk about, but it's still in the realm of copywriting. You see, I haven't really had too many Facebook marketers on my YouTube channel, and frankly, we need more of that because my audience has been wanting it. So I recently met somebody at Copy Accelerator event, maybe last year or the year before. And since we met, he offered a lot of advice in terms of compliance. And then on top of that, he keeps mailing me little letters and even a newsletter, which is very topical. It's really creative. He's managed probably 3 or 4 million in ad spend. So not the highest in the world, but he has impressed me with some of the things that he's brought to the table and some of the new things that he's testing in 2023 that you can literally take and implement today, right? It's not, you don't have to go build a whole rocket ship. It's not rocket science. But we're going to talk about some of the things you can do today in Facebook ads with your own ads that you should see in ROI, which is harder to do now more than ever. So I'd like to welcome Ben Curry, who's going to cook up some good Facebook tips for us.
Excellent. Good to hear from you, Troy. So what was the first question that you had about Facebook and how it works? I'm sure you have a lot of questions.
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people are wondering like, hey, it's 2023. Not exactly sure what's working on Facebook right now, but you told me something really smart about, like, for example, having an offer or a hook of the month. If you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yes. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see, and for example, I took over ads about 10 months ago for one of my biggest client today. And what happened was they had a amazing ad agency out of Los Angeles, had all the degrees, all the accolades, amazing SEO, blah, blah, blah. The problem was this ad agency made one of the most crucial mistakes you can make with Facebook ads, where they just put the same ad up in front of the audience over and over and over again for like 5 or 6 months, never changed it. People saw the same ad over and over again. So someone picks up their phone, most people check Instagram or Facebook on their phone, they're scrolling through it and they've like, I've already seen this ad, I've already seen that ad. And once you've already seen it 4, 5, 6, 10 times, you just tune it out. Like you don't even see it. It's called banner blindness, but you get the same thing in Facebook, even though Facebook has substantially less banner blindness because the ad is in your feed. It's almost native content. So what you want to do is, if you only have one offer, you only have one sales funnel, you want to create a lot of different ads. You want to get a lot of different winning ads, and there's tons of different ads you can create. You can also get one ad that converts, and you can scale that up by creating lots of new images for that ad, and also by creating new videos for that ad. So you can take your ad copy and you can read it off in a cell phone video, read it off walking down the sidewalk. One of my best converting ads is of me walking down the sidewalk with my phone, literally reading the ad almost word for word, and the ad copy right below it is almost word for word what I'm saying in that, and it converted really well. So email copywriting. Most people understand email copywriting. The subject line is the #1 thing. With Facebook ads, a little bit different. The subject line is not the subject line. The image is the subject line. The image is the headline for your ad. So when someone's scrolling, they see an image, they stop, that gets their attention, and then they go right into the text that's below it, and they read, and they make a decision to click or not. But if your image doesn't work, if your image doesn't get them to stop, then they're going to keep, you could have the best copy in the world below it, they're just going to keep going and not pay attention to it. But back to my main point is you want to rotate, #1, your ads. And if you've got different funnels. So one of the things that one of my biggest clients has done, and this is what took them from like $1 million a year to about $4 million a year, is they had a great product, a great sales funnel, stuff that worked, but then they splintered it and they used different angles to get people into exactly the same sales funnel with the same offer, but it looked like something different because they had a new big idea that they were talking about. It was like, discover how to reach your goal through this mechanism, but this mechanism, the real offer that we're selling you is the same offer. And they'd have new mechanisms that people could reach their goals with. But once they got into the sales funnel and down deep into it, it was the same product, the same offer, and they were able to 3 to 4x their sales by splintering their hook. So once you've got, so either way, you can either create a lot of different ads, which I recommend doing that for everything. I mean, every time I'm working with a marketer, we're always trying to get sales up, increase sales. How do we increase sales? And you do that by creating new hooks. It's always about getting people interested. Many times you're advertising exactly the same people. They're on Facebook. The audience is only so big. So I create ads for a really big, well-known company, and they've got an audience of about 200,000 people on Facebook, and they're able to do, $20 million a year in sales by constantly creating new ads, and they have the same offer, but new ads to the same audience over and over and over again to get people into their coaching program. And then that combats churn and dropouts and stuff like that. So when you're selling to the same audience, which is most of the time what you're doing in a more limited space like Facebook, or if you're $50 million, $100 million a year, you still want to get the maximum you can out of it. And you're able to do that by marketing the same audience and putting new hooks, new ideas, new ads. There's 10 different types of ads that you can run. You got stories, you have promises, you have talking about the pain, you tell a horror story. This is, you tell the person, hey, here's what happens, and you got to do it in such a way that's compliant. Like, there's more to it than that. But you do it in such a way where they feel like you're empathizing with them rather than talking bad about them. So you can actually write copy that many people would say is not compliant, but if you say it in a way where you have a tremendous amount of empathy, you're not saying it's not you, it's actually, we're talking about someone else who's having the same problems you are. By the time they get to the bottom, they're like, you know what? I know this is a problem. I know if I don't solve the problem, my life could get worse, or my life could stay where it's at, where it's not as good as I would like it to be. This is a big pain. I would like to solve it. And you know what? I need to click the button. I need to figure out what this is. I need to find a solution to my problem. So it's creating lots of different stuff, cycle it in. And as soon as you start to see, so what you'll do, so for example, in January, right now it's January 30th, and I have had this one offer for my biggest client that has just been crushing it. Was crushing it in December, crushing it in January, and then about a week ago, it started to fatigue. And I'm like, so it's like, CAC is going up. I'm not able to spend as much money because it's not working. When it's not converting, I cut the spend. So I grabbed some of the other offers that were not quite as good. They were like number 2, number 3 offers, started running them. And then this one, while it's going down, I've got other offers coming up. So I'm just moving the spend over, and within a few days, once I get those offers enough, once we hit February 1st, I've hit my spend goals for the month of January. I'm going to cut that offer, turn it off for 30 days. And the audience in Facebook's not going to see it. They're not going to know what's going, they're not going to remember it. And then when these 2 offers fatigue in 3-4 weeks, I'll start to turn them on, turn them off, and turn that one back on. So just you're in front of the same audience over and over and over again, giving them new stuff or stuff that they haven't seen in 30 days to get them back interested in whatever you're selling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's cool. Because I really believe, like, I've never thought about it in the context of Facebook ads, but I really believe in when anything starts fatiguing, right? It's like there's so many different things you could say to somebody to convince them that this is for them. And sometimes it's just a matter of reading through the sales page and taking a good point that just happened to be lower and bringing that to the top. And you can do the same thing in ad with the hook. So that's really smart. But one thing that I actually never thought of before that you said is, like, I assumed that when an ad got saturated, that it would be saturated forever. But it's really cool to hear that it's like, hey, if you can come up with 2 or 3 offers, or at least 2 to 3 different angles on the same offer, you can just rotate them. And I think that's a really good idea. And then you also mentioned some good things about compliance. As long as you're not like seemingly attacking the person who's reading it, you should be good to go. So thanks for sharing those. Now, we also briefly talked about Chat GPT. How do you think that's going to affect Facebook ads? I know you said you're just getting into it and testing it, but like, how do you see that? Because a lot of people ask me about like email and sales letters, but nobody's asked me about Facebook ads yet.
So I have a love and kind of a disappointment. So I have a great romance with Chat GPT at one end and a failed romance at another end. So the romance where I love them is with the DALL-E program, where you're able to create new images. So in Facebook ads, so you're email guy, but in email, the headline is the subject line. You live or die by your subject line. In Facebook ads, it's different. You do not live or die as much by the copy or the headline at the bottom, the headline call to action, whatever you call it. Because when you're scrolling through Facebook, when you're scrolling through Instagram, what gets you to stop is the image or the video. It's not the copy below it. So you got to think of people's mindsets. They're grabbing their phone, they're scrolling through Instagram, they see an image. That is the subject line. That is the headline. That is the headline in a old 1960s, 1970s Gary Halbert advertorial. It's the image is the headline subject line. So with ChatGPT, I was super excited because I've always had like these ideas, like if I could just get a bear doing this, like these crazy image ideas. And I started using it the other day. I'm like just telling DALL-E, I think it's called DALL-E. It's part of OpenAI, ChatGPT. Create an image that looks like this, and it created some great images. I can't show them to you because they're for client, they're proprietary. Actually, a client out of Bradenton, if I remember correctly, and they're going to use it to scale up their ads. They're going to start running them probably in a week or two. So I'm super excited with the image capability because I'm like a typer. I'm a writing guy. I'm a text person. Graphic design, art is not my strong point. Now I can pick out Shutterstock images. I can pick out memes. I can find cell phone and I can capture, redneck images and redneck videos that really convert well, but I'm not able to create something amazing. So you're able to literally tell DALL-E what you want, and it's created some great bright colored images that I think will work really well. So as far as images, probably the number one thing that I've found that has really worked well with images is by creating images that don't look like an ad, they look like organic content. Memes are amazing. One of my clients, we've probably spent $80,000 on one of their memes. When we first ran it, we saved them about $30,000 in ad spend because it cut the cost per customer acquisition by about 40% for like 3 months and just blew up. Maybe we spent $100,000 on that image. I don't know. It was insane, but it was because the image looked like organic. It didn't look like an ad. It wasn't graphic designed. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't ugly, but it was just a very unique Shutterstock image that they're going through their Facebook or Instagram feed, and it looked organic rather than ad. So that was kind of exciting.
Yeah, for sure. It's huge. And you also mentioned like shocking faces and like again, not anything that's gonna like make somebody feel bad. Like you can't go too far down the shocking or like weird rabbit hole, but to an extent. Now, it's interesting because it's kind of the same in email, right? Like if I want to get a lot of clicks, if I put like a red circle in somebody's face going like, then it's it's going to get more clicks. So that's good, but I didn't even realize. I mean, I guess I kind of realized because there's a lot of people on Facebook that create AI images of themselves, but how does it actually work where like you just type in, hey, give me an image of this thing, and it creates a computerized version, or like where does it get the images from?
I'll have to change some details because of the client, but I was like, create a bear, create 4 bears hiding in the woods. And so it literally would like create a forest. And I told it to create, I think, cartoon style. So it created a cartoon of bears hiding in the woods. They're in the trees and they're poking their heads out of the trees. And and as soon as you read it, and the ad's like, want to find out where the bears are hiding, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't bears, but it's something different.
Yeah, gotcha.
Maybe it was for hunting. It's for hunting. You want to find out where the deers are hiding this year. And there's 4 deers hiding and people. And if you're a hunter and you're reading through it, like, oh yeah, I want to find out where the deer are hiding this year so I can go catch the deer. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, that's actually amazing because I didn't how many times I searched Google for an image that I'm like, gosh, I really need to find something. You just can't ever find the right thing. Then if you do, you're like, I don't know if I can take this image because it might be protected. It might be somebody else's. Yeah. So that's awesome. And plus a lot of people, and when you're using regular ChatGPT as well, is if it doesn't give you the exact right answer or an image, you can always tell it like, hey, take your last answer, but make it more blank or make it more cartoonish or make it more emotional. So I think that's a really good point too. So thanks for bringing that up because frankly, I haven't heard, I don't think of anybody talking about that yet. And again, I'm not a Facebook marketer, but I'm in tune with a lot of things with the industry and AI images. I think that's
I love AI images. As far as the text goes, like there's a real, at this point, it's intuition. Like once you do stuff long enough, your brain just does it intuitively. I haven't figured out how to get it to work for the Facebook ad copy, which Facebook ad copy is huge. But I think what I can do, and I need to sit down in front of the computer and spend 4 hours messing with it. But there's different parts. You got to pull the person in. You got to give them the credibility. Like there's a whole formula that you go through with Facebook ad, and I don't know how to teach ChatGPT, my 7-part formula, pull someone in, tell them why it's real, it's the whole 7 parts in a sense of a sales letter. Some of my best ads literally go through all the different parts of tell them about the problem, tell them why it's real. Then you have to have proof and credibility because people are skeptical. I mean, they've seen a million Facebook ads making a million different claims. And when you make a claim, you have to back it up with some sort of testimonial, case study, story, mechanism, something that gives them more than just like, oh, this is just some idiot on the internet making some claim. You have to give them a reason to believe it. And when you do that, the ads work way better.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, honestly, you just gave like a 15-minute clinic on how somebody can take all this stuff and use it to create better Facebook ads literally right now. None of that stuff is overly complicated, but it's all just like, wow, that's really simple, but it sounds like it really, really, really works. And a lot of the concepts I've used in other areas. So I know it works in those areas. I'm sure it works on Facebook too. So thank you for dropping that knowledge here. Now, if somebody wants to contact you, whether they want you to run their ads or maybe they have questions on running their own ads, how should they contact you?
The best way to get in touch is my website. It's bencurry.net. I've got a decent, I guess you could say, personal Facebook profile. My website's where I put the most stuff. I'm one of those like weird people who doesn't have, I do have a LinkedIn profile, but I don't really spend any time on LinkedIn. I'm a Facebook advertising guy, so I spend way more time on that. But they can find me at my website, bencurry.net, find information. I post stuff on there. And if they're spending money on ads, they want to be added to my newsletter, they can contact me in there, send me their address, and I'll put them on my mailing list and mail out my newsletter to them every month.
Cool. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because at first you'd mail little cards and I'm like, gosh, I'm not like running ads at this moment. But then the last one I got was a newsletter and I was like, that's really clever. So yeah, get on the newsletter too if you're not on Ben's newsletter. But anyway, thank you, Ben, for coming on here. And thanks to everybody for watching another copywriting.org interview, and see you next time.